I faked my resume and it changed my life. I was 23, living in my mom's basement, eating ramen 3 times a day and applying to jobs like it was my full-time job. Except nothing was working. I had a degree in communications that meant absolutely nothing. 6 months of unpaid internship experience at a local newspaper that shut down, and 0 connections. Every application felt like throwing a paper airplane into a hurricane. I would get those automatic rejection emails before I even finished my coffee. Thank you for your interest, but we've decided to move forward with other candidates. Copy, paste, repeat. One night, I was on my laptop scrolling through job listings when I saw it. Marketing coordinator at this mid-sized tech company called Northpoint Digital. Good pay, benefits, actual career potential, but the requirements made my stomach drop. 3 to 5 years of experience. Proficiency in analytics software I'd never touched. Campaign management experience. I stared at that posting for like 20 minutes. Then something in me just snapped. I opened my resume and started typing. I gave myself 2 extra years at that newspaper. I added proficiency in Google Analytics, HubSpot, and Salesforce. I invented a whole freelance marketing side gig that never existed. I even made up a client testimonial. My hands were shaking when I hit submit. I figured I'd never hear back anyway. 3 days later, my phone rang. It was Northpoint. They wanted to interview me. I almost threw up right there in my mom's kitchen, but I said yes. The interview was in a week. I had 7 days to learn everything I lied about knowing. I watched YouTube tutorials until my eyes burned. I downloaded free trials of every software I claimed to be proficient in. I practiced answering questions about campaigns I never ran, using case studies I found online. I barely slept. The day of the interview, I put on my one nice button down and drove to their office with my hands sweating so much they kept slipping off the steering wheel. The building was one of those sleek glass towers downtown. I felt like a fraud walking through the lobby. The hiring manager was this woman named Denise, mid-40s, sharp eyes, no-nonsense vibe. She asked me about my experience running email campaigns. I recited almost word for word what I'd memorized from those YouTube videos. She asked about analytics. I talked about conversion rates and click-through metrics like I'd been doing it for years. Then she asked something I didn't prepare for. Tell me about a campaign that failed and what you learned from it. I froze for half a second. Then I made something up on the spot. Talked about a fake campaign for a fake client where I targeted the wrong demographic and had to pivot the entire strategy mid-launch. I made it detailed enough to sound real. Added little failures like how I underestimated the budget and had to scramble. Denise nodded slowly. Honesty about failure is rare. Most people pretend everything they touch turns to gold. I almost laughed at the irony. A week later, I got the job. My first day was terrifying. I walked into that office knowing that at any moment, someone could ask me something I couldn't answer. My desk was in an open floor plan next to this guy named Owen who had been there for 4 years. He talked fast and used acronyms I'd never heard of. I just nodded and Googled everything the second he walked away. The first month was survival mode. I would stay late pretending to work on projects, but really just teaching myself what I was supposed to already know. I memorized our client list. I studied old campaign reports until I understood the patterns. I watched how Owen handled client calls and copied his tone, his phrasing, everything. The crazy thing was, I was actually good at it. Not because of natural talent or anything, but because I was so terrified of getting caught that I worked harder than anyone else. I triple-checked every email. I over-prepared for every meeting. I asked questions that made me sound curious instead of clueless. 3 months in, Denise pulled me into her office. I thought I was done. I thought someone had figured it out. But she just smiled and said, "You're picking things up faster than anyone we've hired in years. Keep it up." I walked out of her office feeling like I was going to pass out from relief. By the 6-month mark, I wasn't faking anymore. Everything I'd lied about knowing, I actually knew now. I had run real campaigns. I had real results. I had clients who specifically requested to work with me. One afternoon, Owen and I were grabbing lunch at this sandwich place down the street. He was venting about how competitive the industry was, how hard it was to even get an interview these days. "You're lucky you had all that experience coming in," he said. "I had to claw my way up from nothing." I just nodded and took a bite of my sandwich. A year later, I got promoted to senior marketing coordinator.